Thank you very much for tuning in. We're going to talk about this game. Ryan Rubishow, the member of the Legislative Assembly, and we're going to look at some comments here. So what's going on is we get the Elgebete's Pride flag raising event, and what do we have here? We got a whole bunch of comments that are that disapprove of this official government policy. So I don't agree. I don't agree with doing this for gays and lesbians, but I have no problem with that. I have absolutely no problem with that, but they don't do anything for straight men and women. They don't do anything for except make lives so much more unaffordable and crushing property taxes and things like that for carbon taxes and whatever else you want. I'm a straight white male. I organize anything, it will be labeled as racist or homophobic, right? This is people's, this is how the people feel, right? And but it's best to turn off the comments. It beats giving the homophobes a forum to spew their hate. Are you ashamed of yourself talking like that? You want to infringe on people's right to free speech? And then this is a real life conversation that's happening. So I just thought I'd bring attention to it here. And the whole ramming it down our throats is a bit much sometimes, right? This is a great comment here. They're ramming it down our throats. It's pride this and pride that. It's just at the end of the day, like we don't agree, we don't like this, but we can't say that we don't like this because they'll call us a homophobe, and it's a never ending thing, right? But the government and this guy says it's completely unacceptable for an official government policy to fly this flag, right? This is a flag, it's still considered a criminal offense in many countries, right? And the clear population will be completely eradicated because of these ideologies, right? And we're gonna look at the boss of all Karens here. But this is a great comment here. It talks a little bit, and you can read this if you're interested here. Basically, it says. There will be a total incomplete eradication of the Acadians of Clare. This is a recognized group. This is a crime against humanity, and nobody's can actually, no argue against that. Okay? It's very clear with the low birth rate and abortion and birth control and things like that. And now we got the LGBTs flying, proudly, on the flagpole, right? So that's basically what we have. We should honor the mothers of traditional families and recognize their hard work instead of taxing them for the basic necessities of life, right? And that's a fair comment. But what do we have? We have with every new baby, that's a huge financial burden given to us by none other than the government, right? We got carbon tax, property taxes, income tax, and all that stuff. Yeah, it's very very expensive to just for the basic necessities of life. So how should we fix this problem? And there's a whole list here, and it's certainly not going to happen. And we have to be honest about it. We have to be mature about the situation. It's not going to happen, right? Help financially help with tax breaks, right? We don't want money. We just want you to stop taxing us to death, right? Taxing us to literally death of not just one family, but literally, the entire spectrum, of the families would have the same problem. The taxes are way too high. They're paying for things that we don't want. We don't want to, spend our money on these abortions and birth control and maid and gender affirming care, and we don't want that. We don't want the pride flag flying. We don't want that. That's not something that we want. We want to be able to pay taxes for the garbage pickups and sidewalks, right? About so here we got these. Okay, this is the boss of the feminists, right? Forcing young women to get pregnant, and she's going to say this about 3 or 4 times. I'm going to keep saying this nonsense. Forcing young Acadian women to get pregnant and to give birth is not going to save the Acadian culture. Well, if you're going to lock them up in a cage, what a nice visual, right? You're going to lock them up in a cage, rape them, and then force them to give birth. This is the kind of illogical nonsense that these boss Karens will give us, right? Gender affirming care for those under 18, right? So she's in favor of the puberty blockers and things like that. And I said, you should you should express yourself in a manner that will promote the traditional Acadian families, right? Um, and you're saying, um, if the Grand Rangement, if the expulsion of the Acadians didn't destroy the Acadians, a few people who can't speak their language fluently won't either. No one is destroying um, the culture. Yes, actually, the government is actively doing that. They charge for the basic necessity of life for housing, for example, that pay for the abortifacient, birth control, and abortion. This is unprecedented, and normal everyday people don't want to have abortions. You can read this nonsense here if you're interested in. This is the boss Karen here going all crazy. The current government will destroy the Acadian population through birth control and abortion while making policies disfavorable for families, driving the birth control way down. Driving the birth responsible for driving the birth rate way down. Um, Lowering the replacement lower than the replacement rate of 2.1 child per woman. It is absolutely certain that within a few short generations, the integrity of the Claricanies will be totally eradicated and replaced. Right? What do we see? We got a whole bunch of people coming in from China, right, from India, from Africa. We love our Indian friends, we love our African friends, but we love our culture too. And what are we having here? And they're saying, this boss care is saying, no one is destroying a culture through birth control and abortion. Yes, it is. Yes, actually, it is. She said no access to birth control and no access to healthcare because abortion is healthcare. All right, so I want you to notice something here. We get the same mantra coming in, literally verbatim, right, from this. And we're going to see over here, abortion is healthcare. We got clump of cells, right? These are the same word for word arguments that every pro-abortion will use every time, right? Okay, we got the mantra and then illogical nonsense. The mantras and illogical nonsense. The same thing, same thing, same thing. And I want you to notice something here. Chasing away any LGBT Acadians, right? So we're not chasing away the LGBTs. What are we doing? We're saying we don't want this flag to be flown as an official government policy, right? Yeah. So abortion is healthcare. Nice mantra. However, this never works when you logically work it out. First of all, naturally functioning reproductive healthcare is not an illness. A baby is not a medical problem. It's a valuable asset to our civilization. He or she, I should have said he or she is a valuable asset to our civilization. No access to birth control and abortion increases the poverty level. Okay, well, this is important. Look at this one. Okay, in this case, you'd be correct, as the government does nothing to decrease the cost of living, but continues to crush families with high income tax and property tax, carbon tax, etc. So you suggest that we should kill our children because the government will not be bothered in helping families? What kind of lunatic suggestion is that, right? I wish it would stop this. Every time I click something, this bubble pops up. Sorry about that. No, but really, huh? So she's suggesting that we should kill our children because the government will not be bothered with helping families. Like, what kind of lunatic suggestion is that, right? She's an well, when I say she's the boss here, and she is, right? She, absolutely. Forcing young Acadian women to get pregnant. No one's forcing anybody to get pregnant, to give birth. Right? That's an assertion that if the government doesn't interfere with a man and a woman's reproduction, that we're forcing something bad on our civilization. That flawed ideology, first of all, clearly doesn't work for centuries. As for centuries, there was no interference with reproduction, and women had dozens of children each. Right? All of a sudden, the government interferes with men and women's reproduction, and you're framing it as forcing a woman to give birth. Right? So this has been properly debunked here, when in reality, it's the government unlawfully interfering with our reproduction, and you're incorrectly assuming that this is a good thing. When in all actuality, it's an egregious crime against our very humanity. They will pump propaganda, and people like you swallow it hook, line, and sinker, and you believe that's your true feeling when in reality it's manufactured consent. You're not saying anything new with your abortion and healthcare nonsense. It's nothing but regurgitated feminist propaganda, right? Just like I said earlier. Um, right? Um, Look at this. Okay, we're going to go through this, right? Academia will be completely gone in a few short generations. That's true. All right, look at this. All right, so Romania's historic abortion ban, and I want you to get in the mindset of this boss Karen here. All right, so Romania's historic abortion ban was enacted with the famous communist dictator here in 1966, and this total ban caused an estimated 10,000 maternal deaths from unsafe illegal abortions and led to thousands of abandoned children before it was repealed in '89. Okay, all right, oh, that's terrible. It led to 10,000 maternal deaths from unsafe illegal procedures, right? It doesn't say anything about natural childbirth. It just says illegal, procedures on illegal, abortions, right? So these abortions were illegal. Oh, let's get in the boss Karen's mindset. Oh, these women, they don't deserve to have this is their right to kill their children, right? So we should, make this thing. No, this is the law of the country, right? This is the law of the country. I explain this permanent. I explain. Yeah. All right. So here's you just forgetting to completely forgetting to an important tidbit of conveniently omitting a crucial piece of information. The population growth. This policy caused an immediate baby boom. Births nearly doubled from 274,000 to 527,000 in 1967. Over the following decades, Romania's population grew from roughly 19 million to about 23 million, although not all of that increase can be attributed solely to the abortion ban. But we got a growing population here. Researchers estimate that around 10,000 women died from complication related to unsafe abortions. Right. So look at this. That means your point that abortion must be legal is absolutely ridiculous. These women should have followed the law of their country at the time, like responsible citizens. They're criminals, right? And then I would have here taking a woman's right, and we get clump of cells. I over here, clump of cells, right? The boss Karen, of course, has to go clump of cells and MAGA and all this stuff, and then right. Here's how they win the argument here. They will win the argument here, and I will post everything here. I will just go through the whole thing. I'm just going to. Oh yeah, this is the thing where if the women don't do their responsibility anymore, what's the point of the women saying on? What's the point of the men? Saying women and children first, right? Well, since the So what I'm saying is that since the women are not doing their obligatory duty for childbirth anymore, here's what the captain should have said in 1912, right? Captain Smith, Edward Smith of the Titanic, right? He said instead of saying women and children on board, he should have said all the lads on board. Since these women are not doing their obligatory duty, why should the men do theirs? Right? Why should we go to the front line? Why should we do any of that when the women are too? They can't even be bothered with their basic obligatory duty of childbirth. Thank you very much for tuning in.